Whenever a major company releases a new super shoe, it's a pretty big deal. And whenever a major company releases a new flagship super shoe, that's also a big deal. But what happens when a company releases not one, not two, but three carbon race day marathon shoes all at once? Today, we're going over the METASPEED Edge Tokyo.
Living fast and running far, the super blast, replace your car. METASPEED, yes indeed, we're on the edge between the legend speed. Legend speed, legend speed, legend speed, legend speed, legend speed, legend speed, legend speed.
What's up, everybody? I'm lacing up the Edge Tokyo, and I got a chance to try this on in the store before buying it. I actually tried both the Edge and the Sky. The Sky was way softer than the Edge. It was pretty crazy feeling how much softer it was underfoot. And granted, I only tried it on for a few minutes, so maybe that's not going to be the same experience for everybody. But it was interesting because the foam, the FF Leap that's in both of the shoes is on the bottom in the Sky, and the FF Turbo Plus, which is the firmer foam, is on top. So you would think maybe that the underfoot experience would be the other way around, where it would be firmer in the Edge, or rather firmer in the Sky than in the Edge, but that's not the experience that I had. Granted, the forefoot in this definitely felt really soft as well. It was hard to gauge because the place that I bought these doesn't have like a treadmill to try them on. It's just like a short little running area. It was very short. It's just for a couple of strides. And so, not the best gauge of what a shoe is, but I was going to get these either way so I could share the experience with you. The first thing that I noticed about these is that the issue that I had with the Paris, where there's this little underlay here, that's still there, so I'm hoping I don't cut up my pinky toe too much on this. It hasn't been an issue in the Edge Paris, but I could still feel that underlay. Only on my left foot. Not really sure why. It's like a very slightly shorter foot than my right foot, and it does not... I don't feel it at all on my right foot, even if I try. So it's just a curious little tidbit about my toes. Do you ever just sometimes, like, you're just talking and you don't even realize you're talking out loud? I thought that was all in my head when I was thinking that. So, but lacing these up, they feel really good, and immediately I could tell that lockdown is not going to be an issue for me. Just immediately. Like, same thing with the Edge Paris as well. It's so not a concern, which is amazing given my track record with shoes. And the laces are an appropriate length, which again is a thing that brands tend to struggle with. And they're serrated, which is, I guess, brands are only really doing that for premium releases. I understand why, but yeah, let's see. Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm stoked to try these out. Not much to comment on right now. The one thing that I'll comment on probably back in the studio is the heel and its construction and how the padding back there has changed. And we'll see how it runs. Today, the brief is to keep it relatively relaxed. Obviously, I'm wearing a, modern, brand new, top-of-the-line racing shoe, so I'm not gonna, chill, necessarily. But I am supposed to be recovering this week. It's supposed to be a down week, building up into, over the course of the next month, a 100-mile week. My body needs it right now. I have a little pain in my left soleus. I'm kind of just really tired. I think maybe underfed a little bit, and all of these build into needing to take it a little easier. But I'm going to put it through about 13, maybe 14 miles. We'll see how I'm feeling throughout the run. And then I'm going to do a long run test on Sunday as well, where probably 17 or 18 miles is called for. Those will be my first 2 forays into the shoe, so make sure to tune into both. I don't often form a very solidified conclusion until deeper into testing shoes. Typically I have a knee-jerk reaction, and then I start to understand the shoe. Sometimes that's the same as the knee-jerk reaction, sometimes it's different. So that's why I want you to know up front that whatever I'm saying at the outset may or may not be consistent through the view on the shoes as I develop them, if that makes sense. Restated, my opinion is subject to change over time, as is all of ours. And it's good to be open to changing your mind. So without further ado, let's get to it. First thoughts, these feel very familiar in one sense. They feel a lot like the Edge Paris, of course, because they are the Edge Tokyo, in fact. The bounce is amplified, and I think it's not necessarily amplified in amount of bounce, but just in sensation of amount of bounce. It's like a non-sentence, but basically what I mean is it feels bouncier, but I don't think it's actually any more propulsive than the Paris. It just compresses more than straight up FF Turbo Plus. The FF Leap is more compressive, and so you're going further down into the ground with each foot strike, and it feels like you're coming up more. But I don't know if that's even really a quantifiable thing, or if it's just a felt sensation thing. I'm concerned that the toe situation is going to be an issue, because it hurts my left pinky toe. This was also the case on the Edge Paris, and I had to use specific socks with it, which I am not currently wearing, so this is not a lost cause situation. Hey buddy, this is a cute dog. Hi. That dog, I hope it achieves fame, because it looked like it was ready to take on fame in its life. So far there's still no heel lift. I actually did have to adjust it before leaving because I hadn't locked it down tight enough, but since locking it down tight enough, there's no heel lift. And yeah, I'll break that down when we look at it in more detail, the upper, but I think there's a reason for it. The way the heel cushioning is designed might just work really well for my foot strike. Also, so far, the issue that I thought I was going to be experiencing with my soleus being banged up. It is a little bit, but I'm not noticing it right now too much. Hopefully I could stave off pain there for the duration of the run. These do want you to go fast. Faster than what I want to be doing right now with the temperature and the humidity. It's actually not wildly hot, it's just humid today. I'm having a hard time not comparing this to the Edge Paris, which is fine. It's a fair comparison. It's also like, that's my all-time fave. So competing with that is really going to be a challenge. And so far, this is doing marvelously in that competition space. It's bouncier. There is like no doubt. It's pretty wickedly bouncy on the track. The lacing system is good. They feel very locked down and locked in. What else? The stability going around corners is also nice, which is going to come in handy for the race that I have coming up. It's a twisty one. Tell you more about that later. I've been saying that for a while now. So I'm just trying to figure out right now where I'm going and what I'm doing for this run. I want to get some steady state miles in, and the track is no place for that. I'll get distracted and set up a bunch of shots and like try to make videos being on the track and such. So probably gonna go somewhere. Gotta figure out where that is. That's half the fun of running, is the journey towards wherever your feet take you. I feel like all the rough roads of Rochester are preparing me for cobblestone streets for a race. The shoes are killing it so far. I'm doing some steady state mileage. I think the last time I talked to you was 2 miles ago, and went up a big hill. I'm already soaked. It's wet out. It's crazy how much the humidity impacts your ability to do anything. Like, right now, it's probably only like 80, but it's so wet. It's like running through a denser air. Of note, I definitely am suffering from some sort of verging on injury, so I'm gonna have to take it easy tomorrow. Like maybe just go to run club and call it afterwards. Maybe even do like 2 recovery weeks, 2 down weeks in a row. Not really sure, but yeah, I'm still hurting, and it's not less than yesterday. It's not more either, though, to be fair. And even though these are race shoes, I'm keeping it relatively chill. I mean, we'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, currently around 8:35 pace. Slow down to talk to y'all. I'm gonna keep cranking. That's how I feel right now. It's soupy. It is very soupy. It's a lush, green, beautiful day. And I'm cooked. I am experiencing pain in my left, whatever, calf, soleus. And it's not going away. But it's mild. I don't know. Running is not easy all the time. In fact, it rarely is. It cooled down. Or maybe I'm just going through shade. Well, I haven't heard from you in quite some miles. I am really enjoying these with a couple caveats. And they're my pinky toes. I should have worn the other socks, 100%. I knew it when I was leaving. Didn't listen to myself. Sometimes you goof. But yeah, my pinky's getting rubbed raw, and wouldn't be surprised if when I got back I was bleeding. As for my potential injury, it has been largely quelled, but I could tell that it's still there. So tomorrow is going to be interesting. See how I do waking up, and if I even run tomorrow. That'd be crazy if I didn't. Catch you later. Okay, getting into the stats. It's 39.5 in the heel, down to 34.5 in the forefoot. If you believe in half millimeters, I don't personally subscribe to such witchcraft myself, but ASICS seems to have a certain sense of measurement and physics about them that us mere mortals don't understand. The upper is called motion wrap. That is a marketing term for ASICS's upper. It is a new motion wrap from the previous version. The way that it's new primarily is that it's a little more structured and rigid. Like it holds its shape more. And the thing that I like about the new upper the most is this ridge line of stitching, and I think that's actually what gives it its like shape, its shapification, if you will. We have serrated laces, of course, some of the best in the game, in my opinion. A floopy doopy tongue that is basically just a tongue of a thin layer of fabric, some sort of like felt analog, basically the same tongue that's on the Edge Paris. There is less padding than the previous version around the heel. Now, I'm going to do a breakdown of the edge versus the edge. I don't have the two other edges, though. The edge and the edge and the edge and the edge. I only have the edge and the edge, you know? So the previous version, the Paris, I'll do a comparison with the Tokyo down the line at some point. But suffice it to say, the heel cup area, the heel counter area, has a reduced amount of padding, and this padding drops in and sort of goes under the insole all the way running down the heel counter. Now, to the midsole. We have this FF Leap running through right here. And then we have FF Turbo Plus going all the way to the back. And this has a nice little booty shelf going on right here. The FF Leap is softer, as I'm sure you have heard, than the FF Turbo Plus, but it has a nice characteristic to it, a nice like resilient bounciness that I think works really well in tandem with the it's weird to think about it, FF Turbo Plus potentially being a carrier foam, but in this instance, it's a carrier foam. So we've moved on to, in the world of running shoe foams, from standard EVA being your carrier foam to top tier premium PIBA being the carrier foam. This guy, Tokyo, has a different setup than this. It has the FF Turbo Plus on the top and the FF Leap on the bottom. And it does not have a scooped plate, which brings me as a perfect segue into the plate in the Edge Tokyo. You can see it running down. I mean, that's where the foams break, but that's also the orientation of the plate where the two foams couple. And I like a scooped plate. I know that some initial studies that I haven't read the studies, but I've heard repeated. So maybe I'm just repeating misinformation. Don't think so. But I've heard in studies, and you can fact check me on this, that a plate placed closer to the top of your foot is going to provide more leverage to rebound off of, and thus creating a springier platform. And I could see that being true. I did actually try on the Sky in store today, the Sky Tokyo today, as I was purchasing this, and it felt wildly softer underfoot than the Edge, which is surprising because the FF Leap is on the bottom and the plate is closer to your foot. It was really a pretty interesting experience having that on foot. Very grateful that I got the opportunity to do so. But I worked really well with the Edge on the last iteration, so I wanted to stay tried and true to my own personal running heritage and get the Edge Tokyo. That's enough about the foams for now, because we'll return to that, of course. The outsole, grippy, squeaky also when you're walking around a store, super squeaky. You'll see that there's already a little bit of damage being taken. And I'll tell you about the run. I think that probably my former self has already told you a bit about the run. But it wasn't the most ideal. It was like 12 and a half miles. I was in really rough shape. I was pretty banged up for the duration of it. And I do intend to take this out for my long run this weekend. I might need to scale back my training a little bit. So a little bit about me, if you haven't been watching so far, I have been on this slow climb up to 100-mile week. Last week I reached 90. This week I'm scheduled to be cutting back, and I have been doing so with great enjoyment. However, this week has been a kind of a blow-up week. My entire left leg now is really feeling the pain. I have something going on in my calf. And so suffice it to say, this run was not the best run in the world. And those are all the reasons, the context for why it wasn't great. There's one thing about this shoe that I wish had changed from the previous version that caused me a lot of issues. So without further ado, because that was really the only negative component of the shoe, was there is a plastic, hold on, let there be light. There is a plastic component, yep, you can see it coming right through here, that reinforces the toe cap and lends structure to the entire upper. And on the lateral side of both shoes, this plastic piece where it connects right here, right under my finger, rubs on my pinky toe in an amazing way. It's on, obviously it would be symmetrical. I don't know why you would think it wouldn't, or why I would think that. But this whole ridge line right here, rubbed incessantly up against my pinky toe, and it hurt quite a lot throughout the run, and I was in pain for the latter half of the run to a really high degree. I thought I was bleeding. Big asterisk on all of this. I knew that about the previous version, and I have solved the problem on the Edge Paris. It's going to get confusing. Bear with me. By just wearing different socks. Now, I was wearing the wrong socks today when I took this out for a run. And even when I tried it on the store, I knew that this could have become an issue. And I didn't change socks for like no reason. I just forgot, or I thought about it even as I was going out the door. But I already had the shoes on, and I was like, it's probably going to be fine. I'll wear these socks and they'll be fine. You just got to listen to yourself. You can't make dumb mistakes like that in running and in life. And, I probably should have not run in a carbon-plated racing shoe today because my legs are all beat up, and those aren't always the kindest on your legs, unless they're like the Hoka Cielo X1. Those two big time asterisks put aside and shelved. A lot of my thoughts on the run were of the vein that this is a bouncier version of the METASPEED Edge Paris. That was a lot of what I was thinking. And even potentially with improved lockdown. And I didn't have any lockdown issues on the previous version. So at least the same level of no issues with lockdown on this. Now, getting the tension right on the laces takes some time for me anytime I do it. So people that are watching this channel regularly will know that I really do struggle to get a good fit on shoes. And I did stop to retie this a couple of times, but it wasn't in a way where I was frustrated or trying like desperately to get the heel to stay stationary. No, it was playing with the tension to try to alleviate the pressure on my pinky toes, which I should have just listened to myself from the outset and worn the correct socks, which I will do on Sunday so that I can provide you with an updated take on the pinky toe issue if you are so inclined to be interested in this phenomena, which you might be because you might have pinky toes like mine and they might rub against this upper. It is not impossible that you have feet similar to mine. We are all human. Well, overall, this is a bouncier version. On the first run, this is just a first run, the underfoot feel is more comfortable on step-in, slightly less firm in the forefoot, in a way that actually improves it to me, where I really like the density of the FF Turbo Plus, and I think that this is actually still the same version of FF Turbo Plus. I don't think they've done any of the trickery or fibbing that other brands do and swapping out the FF Turbo Plus in this or like changing the formulation. Maybe they have, but it's not perceptible to me. I don't notice any difference in this FF Turbo Plus and the Edge Paris. And I've run pretty recently in the Edge Paris, and I love that shoe with all my heart. So me saying that I think the FF Turbo Plus and this is the same, I think I have a pretty good idea. Of course, human error is always possible. But it felt so familiar. The shape of the shoe felt so familiar. It works with my foot shape and foot strike. And it works even when my form deforms. I was landing more midfoot during some of this first initial run test. I was pretty slow. It was extremely humid today. Not the hottest day in the world, but definitely a really humid one. And I was just struggling from the cumulative fatigue of miles and miles and miles. But this is why we do it, right? This is living in this state. If you could live in this state that I'm living in right now, then you could run a marathon. I mean, you won't even have to think about it, running a marathon. If you could run, 70, 80, 90 mile weeks consistently, week in and week out, running a marathon is just running a marathon at that point. And that's the point that I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to progress to. And this is certainly a tool for the job, right? I'm going to run in this maybe 2 more times. I believe that this is going to be my race day shoe. Couple reasons for it. I have a race coming up. It's at the end of November. It is in Europe. And there will be a lot of turns, twists, and surprises throughout the race. And I can't think of anything more stable for my foot shape and type
than this. So I'm either going to be running in this or the METASPEED Edge Paris. I want to put more miles on this and test and make sure that the pinky toe rubbing issue was not a factor of the shoe as a whole, but simply the fact that I didn't use the correct socks with it. There's a reason I think that the socks matter in this. So the toe cap starts here and then runs up all the way to the front, but I think that the where the forefoot cuts in, it cuts in at an angle that just hits my pinky toe incorrectly, and that if my foot were a little further forward, it would not hit the part of my pinky toe that is abrasion sensitive, maybe hitting the nail instead, because it's hitting right at where the cuticle, where the nail meets the skin. And so I think that the padded socks push my feet just a millimeter or 2 millimeters forward in the shoe and makes it so that my pinky's not hitting the plastic situation. So yeah, I've rambled about my own personal issues for far too long in this video. This is also first take, first impressions on it, first run. I'm grateful that I was able to get 12 and a half out of the box to get at least some decent mileage on this to test. To summarize, there was one more thing that I didn't really touch on. This heel counter is really good for me, and that's a terrible adjective. It fits like my heel is shaped, right? And so this padding here is sufficient. It's not excessive. There's padding there. And then the way the fabric scoops down, I think you could see it. So turn your eyes to right where my finger's touching right up there and look in there, and you'll see it's two-tone fabric. Yeah, that's a good angle. So you'll see there's a strip of it coming down, and then that goes under the insole, and it creates this like scoop that scoops my heel right into place, so that I don't have to jam backwards on the shoe when I'm putting it on, thus creating instantly a very good lockdown. Now, I did have to crank the laces down, but I knew that from the previous version going into it, that was the best way to get a lockdown. And I still don't understand how they avoid lace bite with a tongue that's this thin, because a lot of shoes I've had lace bite on have had even more substantial tongues than this. And I think it's got to be something the way the eyelet chain is assembled that really just makes it work. Don't know. I'm not a shoe doctor, shoe scientist, but people at ASICS clearly are. Yeah, that's my review. Also, this is astonishingly light. 165 grams up to 169 grams, two slightly different weights, but yeah, 165 grams for a racing shoe, a marathon, a full stack racing shoe. Where is the weight being shaved from? I mean, the upper, yes, is very light. It's a lightweight upper, but this is one of the more substantial heel collars. It's got to be the foam, but this FF Turbo Plus is dense for a PIBA. The FF Leap is light, sure, but there's no cutouts. There's no weird geometry going on. The rubber, the application of the rubber is minimal, and that's got to be a big part of the weight savings. And I think that, I can't complain about the outsole because it's one of the grippiest ones in the game. It's truly amazing. It's a feat of engineering. They've nailed it. I'm going to get more miles on this, but not too many, because I want to save this for my marathon. All right. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate your attention as always. See ya.